I wanted to go back into something that I discussed yesterday. And first of all praise to the Most High. Strongholds. And it's important to realize, and that's why I wanted to continue on in this for a few days, is strongholds can be, we perceive them always as, or not always, but oftentimes as those physical things that I can readily identify, with sight, such as, alcoholism, drug addiction, when I'm displaying obvious mental health signs. But we forget about the thoughts and patterns and the things that govern our existences and create a cycle of us continuing in our inadequacy and living a lesser than life that are the result of those strongholds. For example, one that grows up without the greatest parental connection and has to, never shown affection, never shown love. Those people that say they can never remember when their parents told them that they loved them, well, now they're adults. And thus, anytime, or not, one of the cases can be that anytime someone shows that person that's wounded and damaged and unable to see that stronghold of that inadequacy, they'll now love anyone, even when that person doesn't love them back. They will engage in reckless relationships that are based out of circumstance that are to their detriment, because there's a stronghold of a fear of abandonment, there's a stronghold of neglect, there's a stronghold of doubt, there's a stronghold of unbelief. So strongholds not only serve the conscious, but they serve the subconscious. So rightly dividing the truth and removing yourself from the yoke of bondage is being able to, again, realize what we can't see dictates what we can, and determine what is it that I can't see that is dictating each and every action of my life based on, where I am now and where I've come to be now. What truth have I received in and through the Most High Yah that has allowed me to overcome these things? And if I'm still living in this life, I'm obviously not adhering to that truth, because we don't have to repeat the same patterns, same mistakes, obviously, but we got to remove ourselves from these strongholds, because they are not only crippling us, but generation after generation of people. And like I said, we have to realize, are we feeding the spirit more or feeding the flesh more? Even going back to the garden, I know I mentioned that yesterday, but if you want to look at food as instruction, or even physical food, that made me relate to current day and times, as we don't think about this, but food is oftentimes a formulated stronghold. Because look at the dopamine, serotonin, look at things that gets released when we enjoy what we like to partake in, and we know it's not good for us. But it's hard to separate ourselves from that. So anytime something isn't to your best interest and you still consume, whether that be instruction or whether that be things of your family, because the garden also illustrates with the fall that happened, is anytime someone in the household is listening to outside influence, it doesn't matter if it's only received to one individual, it affects the entire house. So we know that one of the greatest missions of the enemy is to destroy the household, destroy the family. That way there's no support and there's no defense mechanism against the strongholds. Then there's nothing but generational familiarity. That's another thing. Those strongholds that occur in your subconscious, they're based on familiarity. And what they're created to do is keep you from having a realization. Realization when I'm ready to put this stuff in action. I'm ready to be delivered, ready to overcome and conquer. And I'm tired of making excuses. I'm tired of arguing, because the stronghold will argue against that delivering element. So when I have a realization, I'm ready to truly make the change instead of just talk about it. Because we see that so many times. People love to talk about things, but they stay in the cycle. But when you're really ready to move to that place in life where our ways are no longer our ways and are His ways, Most High Yah, we overcome those strongholds, and we're no longer arguing with our deliverance. But we have to realize what in our life, what was familiar, what is that? Where's that stronghold coming from? Is it my abandonment, my neglect, my fear? Most of the things that damage us truly happen in our childhood, and it's sad because we don't even have, it's out of our control, because our parents were supposed to raise us and govern us in accordance to, the order of the divine Most High Yah. But sadly, ignorance breeds ignorance, and someone has to break the cycle. Someone has to do better. So, know that your actions might not even be your true nature and identity. It could just be a result of those strongholds based on resentment, fear, neglect that has you traumatized, into which again you don't even know who you truly are, and you're continuing to cover up and cover up. So the strongholds appeal to the conscious and the subconscious. The fleshful nature of lust, those kind of things, it appeals to the conscious, but the subconscious is a bit deeper, and we have to do more peeling and more deconstruction of what's actually going on to truly realize what steps I need to take for my hope and deliverance. But it's all in and through the testimony of it's all through the testimony given by the Father and through the Son. So we need to realize that this way does deliver, but I've got to be open about my strongholds to myself and acknowledge them so I can even be delivered from them. So it's time to be honest with ourselves. It's a sin to lie to yourself, just like it's a sin to lie to anyone else. Blessings.